There's a specific kind of exhausted you feel after a day that, on paper, wasn't even that hard. You didn't run a marathon, you didn't fight with anyone, you just existed near a lot of people, absorbed the room, caught the thing your coworker didn't say out loud, and now it's 9 p.m. and you're lying on the couch with the lights off because even one more sound feels like too much. If that landed somewhere real, stay with me. Because for most of your life, you've probably been told some version of the same note. You're too much, too deep, too easily hurt. Slow down, lighten up, stop taking everything so seriously. And you believed it, kind of, the way you believe anything people repeat at you long enough. But what if the thing they kept calling a flaw was never a flaw at all? Researchers who study this trait found something that surprised them when they put people in brain scanners. The ones who described themselves as deeply affected by their surroundings, they weren't imagining it. Their brains lit up more. Stronger response to other people's faces, to emotion, to small shifts most people scroll right past. It's not drama, it's hardware. About 1 in 5 people are built this way, and you might be one of them. So here are the signs. Not to box you in, to hand you a mirror you maybe haven't looked into properly. The first one is the easiest to miss because you've built a whole life around hiding it. You feel things at a volume other people don't seem to. A sad scene in a show wrecks you for the rest of the night. A stranger's bad day somehow becomes yours by lunch. Someone raises their voice 3 rooms away and your whole body knows before your brain catches up. You're not fragile, you're just receiving on a frequency that picks up more. And because you pick up more, you get full faster. That's the second one. Crowds, noise, bright stores, a day with back-to-back everything. It drains something in you that takes other people much longer to spend. You've left parties early. You've sat in your car for 10 minutes before walking into your own house, just to come down. People call it antisocial. It's not. It's a battery that runs the room's emotions through it, and that costs more than anyone sees. There's a guilt that comes after though. You cancel the thing, you protect your quiet, and then you sit there feeling like you let everyone down. That guilt is its own signal, and we'll get to where it comes from, because it didn't start with you. The third sign hides inside the way you make decisions. You don't just pick, you run it. The menu, the message, the choice between 2 perfectly fine options, you turn it over, check it from underneath. Imagine how it plays out 3 steps down. People who study sensitive people noticed this. They pause longer before acting, and when they scanned what was happening, the parts of the brain tied to weighing and comparing were doing overtime. You're not indecisive. You're processing more data than the situation seems to require, because to you, it doesn't feel optional. Which bleeds into the fourth one. Criticism doesn't bounce off you, it goes in. A short reply to a text you spent real care writing. We need to talk, with no follow-up for 4 hours. The tone in a feedback email that maybe wasn't even cold, but you read it 9 times anyway, hunting for what you did. You replay it on the drive home. You replay it at 1 a.m., phone face down on the nightstand, the conversation looping like a song you can't skip. And here's the 5th, quieter one. You notice the small stuff nobody mentions. The friend whose laugh was half a second late. The shift in someone's posture when a name came up. The room's mood changing before a single word confirmed it. You've said, "Are you okay?" to people who insisted they were fine and turned out not to be. You read the air. It's not a party trick, it's just always on. Now, the harder part. Because somewhere, a quiet question is sitting under all of this. Why am I like this? And the honest answer reaches back further than most people want to go. Some of this you were born with. The sensitivity is real, it's biological, it shows up in babies before the world's had a chance to teach them anything. But for a lot of sensitive people, the dial got turned up by something. A house where moods changed fast and you learned to read the weather to stay safe. A parent whose face you watched closely because you needed to know which version was coming home. A childhood where being attuned to everyone else wasn't a gift you offered. It was a job you took because someone had to, and it was you. That's where the guilt I mentioned earlier was born. You got so good at sensing what others needed that your own needs started to feel like an imposition. Resting felt like slacking. Saying no felt like abandoning someone. The radar that kept a younger you steady never got the memo that the danger was over. Sit with that for a second. Not to blame anyone, just to see it clearly. The thing you've been criticizing yourself for, the overfeeling, the over-noticing, the not being able to let it go. It was, once, the smartest thing a small person could do. But here's what catches people off guard. Knowing where it comes from doesn't make it a wound you have to carry like one. The wiring that scanned for danger is the same wiring that, now, catches beauty most people walk straight past. A piece of music that opens something in your chest. The exact shade the sky goes at the end of a long day. The friend who says you're the only one who actually noticed they weren't okay. Same antenna, different signal. You don't have to keep pointing it only at threat. The sixth sign lives right here, actually. Rich inner life. Your head is never empty. There's a running commentary, a deep well, conversations you have with yourself that nobody gets to hear. People assume quiet means nothing's happening. With you, it's the opposite. Loudest room in the building, and it's all on the inside. The seventh sign is one you might not even count as a sign. You need time alone the way other people need sleep. Not because you don't love your people, you do, deeply, but because solitude is where you put yourself back together. An hour with nobody needing anything. The house quiet, the kitchen light low, no one's mood to manage but your own. That's not you withdrawing from life. That's you refueling so you can keep showing up to it. And the last one. You care almost helplessly about doing right by people. A throwaway comment you made 3 days ago still nags at you. You over-apologize. You'd rather absorb the discomfort yourself than hand it to someone else. Conscientious, the researchers call it. Sensitive people consistently scored higher on it. The quiet drive to be good, to be fair, to not leave a mess in other people's lives. It can tip into too much, but strip away the excess and what's underneath is just a person who refuses to be careless with others. So look at the whole shape of it now. Every single one of these, the world handed you back as a problem. Too sensitive, too intense, too in your head, too easily hurt. And you spent years trying to file the edges off, to be lower maintenance, easier, less. But run the list again and notice what it actually describes. Someone who feels in high definition, who reads a room before it speaks, who weighs things carefully because the stakes feel real, who notices the person nobody else noticed. That's not a malfunction. That's depth that didn't come with a manual, so you assumed it was damage. You were never too much. You were calibrated for a quieter, more careful kind of living that the world tends to reward. And you've been apologizing for an instrument most people would be lucky to have. The work was never to feel less. It's to stop treating the way you feel as the thing wrong with you. You're not the soft one in the room. You're the one still awake to it. And the day you stop trying to dull that down is the day it finally starts working for you instead of against you.